One of Trump's favorite white supremacists was popping off on Fox News about sending the military after people and how it's such a great thing. I'm Cam from Bulwark. I'm here with Adam from Midas. We're doing another one of our coveted crossovers. Adam, you're probably no fan of Stephen Miller from what I understand.
No, I would be mad too if Elon Musk had been rumored to have stolen my wife.
Yeah, especially since Elon doesn't seem like the most loving and let's call it loyal person. You know, like if your wife is getting stolen by Elon, it's not even for true love. It's just him looking for another sperm concubine. Let's take a look at Stephen Miller on Fox News talking about how great this all is.
President Trump has literally set the people of Washington, D.C. free. They're so happy now that they can just go out and live their lives, go to their favorite restaurant, go to their favorite bar, go to their favorite pool hall, go to their favorite park. You see moms taking kids out to parks they haven't been to in years because they know the police are there. They know that President Trump is there with his law enforcement to protect them. It's a thing of beauty, Sean. But I would say to the mayor of all these Democrat cities, like Chicago, what you are doing to your own citizens is evil. Subjecting your own citizens to this constant bloodbath and then rejoicing in it is evil. And you should praise God every single day that President Trump is in the White House.
Jesus Christ.
There's such an uncertainty in his eyes. Like, he doesn't look like he believes what he's saying. But I'm wondering, by this standard, are the governors of all the red states that have the highest murder rates, are they culpable in this violence too?
Stephen Miller almost had like bile spitting out of his mouth, like he was from The Exorcist. You know that scene from The Exorcist where there's just stuff spitting out of her mouth? Everything he just said was an absolute lie. I debunked the same thing on with Scott Jennings, but number one, the idea that restaurants are now full, it's the inverse. There's a 40% drop in people visiting restaurants in DC. In DC, 79% of the people living there don't want the National Guard deployed. It was like 61% feel less safe. And then again, they pulled everybody and they said, what's your biggest worry right now? It wasn't homicide or carjackings. It was Trump's occupation. So if you ask the people living in DC what they care about, Stephen Miller is lying. And there's another clip of Stephen Miller going like, we're protecting the black citizens. Far be it from me to question Stephen Miller's knowledge of the black community and what they want on a daily basis. Stephen Miller, the black person knower.
Stephen Miller does think a lot about black people, but definitely not in the sense that he is interested in protecting them. So I want to just pull some stats on DC's violent crime in the past couple of years, because it did see a spike in 2023 alongside an overall decline in the past couple of years. But since 2023, in addition to the overall violent crime reduction, homicides are down 32%. Robberies are down 39%, armed carjackings are down 53%, and assaults with a dangerous weapon are down 27% when compared to the 2023 levels. Now, this information comes from who else but the Justice Department. And two things can be true, right? Crime in DC is a problem. And also, it's a problem that's been dramatically improving. So much so that other cities ought to be following DC's example. And if you want to make DC safer, you look at the numbers and you can continue to strengthen its investment in evidence-based community violence intervention programs, which have proven to be a fucking huge success.
Or what if we just mobilize the National Guard and scare people away from even going outside, then declare short-term victory because the effing National Guard's walking through the streets? This is what I want to compare it to. Republicans are bragging that nobody's crossing the border and that crime is dropping and that nobody's really going to restaurants, which is true. That's what happens in North Korea. In North Korea, there's no immigration. No one's allowed to go across the border. In North Korea, there's probably very little crime, but there's also military patrolling the streets at all times. You don't even want to go out to a restaurant. Or I don't want to make the, harshest comparison, but that's what it reminds me of. Of course, if the military is flooding the streets, there's going to be less crime. Pretty simple to see why, but what's your long-term fix?
And the results of something like this are something that you're going to see. It's going to take months to really see just how intense these effects are. But when you have a country that has a net negative migration, which actually my co-host of FY Pod, Tim, talked about on Piers Morgan with disgraced former Superman actor Dean Cain. We'll throw a clip of that right now.
Here's the problem, though, which is why I just can't give him full credit. You don't actually want to be a country that nobody wants to come to. Because that's where we're at now, where there is 0 border crossings. And that is actually not a good thing. I wanted to pull up. Here are the list of the countries with negative net. migration. That could be us this year. We're going to have negative migration, more people fleeing America than coming. Some of the other countries that have that: Syria, Venezuela, Ukraine in the middle of being invaded, Pakistan, Sudan, China. That's not what we want. A growing country wants people to want to come here. We want people to want to flee in communist countries to come to America. We're going to have negative population growth for the first time in this country. Other countries that have that: Russia, Cuba, Bulgaria. I don't aspire for America to be like Syria and China and Russia, where people don't want to go into their countries.
The other countries that have net zero migration are not the types of countries we want to be modeling ourselves after. And on top of that, tourism is down all over the place. I was just reading an article about Vegas specifically, and it was like, tourism in Vegas is down. Are young people to blame? And it's like, no, nobody wants to fucking come here. If you're deploying the National Guard and trying to create some sort of military state in order to intimidate mayors and governors who don't go along with everything you want to do, nobody's going to want to come to this country. And tourism happens to be a very important thing for any country. But if I'm someone in anywhere from Europe to Asia, to some place where someone might want to actually visit the United States, seeing what's happening right now with ICE, with the National Guard, like, I would want to stay the fuck away.
And part of the problem is that he continues to mobilize a National Guard against the explicit will of both the people of DC. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, was saying, do not mobilize the National Guard. Trump still did. He doesn't care who he's mobilizing the National Guard against, like against the will of the people, the governor, the local mayor.
And by the way, like Republican governors from other states are trying to get in on this too. Like, you saw other Republican governors sending their own National Guard guys to DC because they want to kiss up to daddy and be like, hey, Trump, I'm here for you. While you're facing so much pushback, I'm one of the good ones. Trump likes to attract friends because he likes to be someone you want to be friends with. The same way he wants to be a very, very bad enemy to have, he also wants to be a very good and benevolent friend. That's why when he was courting different Congress people to vote for the big not beautiful bill, he was giving them merch and he was inviting them to the Trump Golf Club to hang out with him. Like, he wants to be seen as a generous person who you want to be friends with. He wants to be affable. So that sets up an environment where I think a lot of Democrats in office are going to be afraid to push back and fight with him because he's doing these kind of strong arm things like deploying the National Guard, targeting John Bolton. Like, he's trying to prove that he is as vindictive as people said he was going to be. And then he wants people to kiss his ass as well, and Republican governors are doing it.
Yeah, another piece to it that's scary is that he keeps pushing back these deadlines, and that's where the real power grab happens. So him mobilizing the National Guard technically was not illegal in California and DC. There's a posse comitatus act, something that allows him to do that in California.
There's a
it's called like the posse comitatus or whatever in California.
Is that like Latin?
I guess, yeah. And it allows him to mobilize a National Guard.
Sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Yeah, that's what he did essentially. But he gets to mobilize a National Guard in Los Angeles for 60 days, in DC for 30 days. The problem is when the 60-day deadline hit in LA, which it already did, he pushed it back even more. So when he mobilizes the National Guard, it's not just that piece. He then perpetually pushes back the deadline. I know for a fact once the 30-day deadline hits in DC, he's going to push it back another 30 days. Then he essentially has the National Guard mobilized in perpetuity in all of these states, and he's got his own little personal military. It's not good.
Well, everybody, stay safe out there. I hope none of your cities are next on his hit list, although I imagine there's probably some more cities coming because this seems to be something that Trump's base is really hyped up about. It's a great distraction from not only the Epstein files, but also from the extreme unpopularity of what ICE is doing, including with the MAGA base. And thank you for joining us. We will see you all soon.